Yeah, and we would like to invite anyone, but runners especially, that want to come and actually experience the trail. I mean, and not just the trail, but like you said, Galax in general. You've got New River Trail here. You've got downtown Galax. You've got Matthews State Forest with a great trail over there. But you've also got the Blue Ridge Park Road right out our back door that's also got the Mountain to Sea Trail running all over it, plus down to Stone Mountain. There's so many trails and good stuff right here in this area that I think Froggy Mountain makes a great jumping off point, you know.
Hi, my name is Sean Bland, but my friends call me Sean Michael or Run Bum. I've run over 300 ultra marathons. I've been first, last, and everything in between. I started and owned Run Bum Races, where we put on 11 trail and ultra running races a year from Central Florida to Southern Virginia. I hope that with my trail running and race directing experience that I can help you train smarter, run further, and fall in love with trail running. If you find this podcast helpful and or entertaining, please help me out by sharing it. I'd also like to invite you to run or volunteer at one of our mini races. Welcome, friends, to the Bend Don't Break podcast. I am super excited to welcome my good buddy, Paul Tilley of Galax, Virginia, onto the podcast. Paul is kind of the godfather of what we will call Froggy Mountain Adventures. Basically, Paul bought a property a couple of years ago with the hopes of building a trail on it. He did that. It's gnarly. It's rad. It's awesome. He's created a small cult-like running community up in Galax, Virginia. The gentleman himself has run countless ultra marathons, and has run Quest for the Crest multiple times. Right after doing the Hellbender 100-miler the weekend before, he did the 50K and the 10K at Quest. He's changing lives. He's turning heads. He is awesome, man. So Paul, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and congratulations on finishing your own crazy stepchild of a fat ass invitational 100-mile race, the Froggy Mountain 100-miler, where people did a 1.1-ish mile loop in your backyard with 500 feet up, 500 feet down for 100 miles. And you finished that this past weekend, dude. Welcome.
Well, I'd love to say I feel great, but that'd probably be a lie. Pretty sore, pretty beat up. But hey, man, it was awesome.
Dude, that's awesome. So for everybody who's watching this and listening to this, I wanted you to kind of take a couple minutes and talk about what the Froggy Mountain 100 was. And I guess really it kind of all ties into like how the property came to be and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. About 4 years ago, I bought this property, and when I bought it, I needed a place to live, of course, but I was looking at property more than a place because I wanted a place I could train for hard races. I wanted something steep, something difficult, something that I could use to train on. I kind of wanted to eventually maybe hold some sort of a race there, but, the idea of 100 wasn't in my mind at the time. We took and built a 1 mile single track loop around the mountain. I love your dog there, man. That's cool. So we built the trail around the mountain there, and it's basically just a little over 1 mile. It's like 1.1 mile. And it's right close to 500 feet of climbing. So it's very difficult. And we'd held a couple little 5K, 10K races there every January, and the locals loved it. And we had a lot of fun with it. And so in the back of my mind, I was thinking about doing 100 on it, but I really didn't know if anybody'd be down for that. But Rosie Gagan actually approached me, and she needed another 100-mile run to do in the month of July. Of course, she runs 100 miles to raise awareness for veteran suicide, in memory of her son, Dexter. And so I was more than happy to try to accommodate that, but it was just going to be me and her running it, So I asked her, I said, would it be cool if I invite anybody, maybe throw this out here and see if anybody wants to do this? So yeah, she was like, go for it. And I threw it out, and I started getting all kinds of interest in it. And I was like, okay, now I've got to make it happen. Now I've really got to put this thing on. So, I pretty much quit running after Hellbender and Quest and just started focusing on trying to get the property ready for the 100-miler. So yeah, working daylight to dark for the last couple, weeks, months leading up to this, and then running it. It was an absolute blast, man. We really had a good time out there.
That's so awesome, man. So one of the stories you told me about when you went to buy the property, you were looking at it and the realtor, is kind of showing you around and you're like, hold on one second. And you basically went to the top of the property to see like how much elevation you could get for training and maybe to build a trail, right?
Yep, absolutely. We actually, the day we got lucky, we seen it online the day it went on the market. So it was close to where I work, and I drove over at lunch and pulled up to the gate, and I was like, yeah, this looks good. So I called my wife, and I said, call the realtor. Let's see if we can meet him tonight. So he brought us over there that evening. And yeah, basically I told her, you go inside the trailer with him, check it out, all that. I'm going to the top of the mountain. So yeah, I never even went in the trailer. I think we had put an offer on it and bought it before I ever even went in the trailer. But I said, I could care less about where I'm living. I want the land.
That's right. And so you were talking about how you've been getting this trail and the course ready. How, like, just on guesstimation, how many hours do you think that you've put into it, and what all have you guys done? Like, was there already like a road bed? Like, did you like what all, like, just so people understand for this 1+ mile loop, like how much has gone into this?
I'll be honest, when I bought the property, you couldn't see past the driveway. Everything was completely overgrown to the point that there is literally an old house up there not far at all from my place, but you could not even see it was there. I didn't even know it was there. It was a fallen down house that we've literally turned into a pretty cool structure that we've got a lot of ideas for. But yeah, so there was nothing there. There was no trail. There was no road. Literally everything had to be cut. I bought one of the steel commercial hedge trimmers and just attacked the place and started cutting. For the whole first summer we lived there, I just tried to clean up enough that I could see my property. Like there's basically 2 ponds on the property, but they were so overgrown and covered you didn't even know there was ponds there. Like the one that I've cleaned out so far, we drug out over 100 tires just cleaning that. I'd completely drained it and cleaned it. Wow. But yeah, I don't know for sure what had been done on that property before I bought it, but it has been a massive cleanup to get it to where it is. But the trail itself, no, there was no trail. So I had an idea looking at the property lines where they laid. And so I would take my GPS watch, just hike the property, trying to get an idea of how I could lay a 1 mile trail in there. And then I'd come back, blow it up on, Garmin or whatever app, look at it, kind of make adjustments and go through and flag it again. And once I finally decided where I wanted, I just would go through with like clippers and a rake just to get an idea. And yeah, man, it took 3 years of getting it like it is now. And then just to make matters more fun, about 2 weeks out from actually doing the 100-mile race, I knew that the far corner of my trail definitely didn't stay on my property, but it was just in the woods and I wasn't too worried about it. I was like, it's a great trail. I know it's not quite all on my property, but I ain't worried about that. So about 2 weeks before the race, I noticed that the neighbors are clear cutting and they're getting, and one day I come down and there's literally a dozer setting in the trail. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. How am I going to have a 100-mile race here when I may not even have, half of my trail? So with 2 weeks to go, me and Kevin went crazy and rebuilt half the trail on a new route to get it ready for the 100. And I've had lots of people run it over the weekend, and the one unanimous thing was they all love the new route better than the old route, and that it's probably harder than it was before. So yeah, it's
nice.
Good.
Nice. And so in the loop, I think you said this, it's what, 500 feet up, 500 feet down. So 1,000 feet elevation change per about a mile.
Yep. And it's very close to that. It depends on what you're looking at. Mine would always give me somewhere between 475 to 520 or so. I've seen some people's watches go as high as 584 feet for one lap. My current one, I don't know. It wasn't very happy this race, so it was only giving me like 450 or something. I was like, come on, man, don't do that. But still, it's definitely up there close to 500 feet per lap.
So, and then you guys did how many laps to do 100 miles?
It was 9.
Wow.
Because the course is right at 1.12.
1.12.
Yeah.
All right. Look.
So, yeah, if you did 100 loops, you would be putting around 112 miles up there.
Wow. So what is that? I'm trying to do the math over here. So we did 500 times 92.
91.
Or 91.
Yeah.
So 45,500 feet of climbing and the same descent in 100 miles. Dude, that's insane. What's Hard Rock, like 33?
I'm thinking it's right around that. Yeah.
Wow.
I've been looking, I think Uray may be up around 40. I think, but it's hard to find one that's got anything close to that.
Right. Like you're either going up or you're going down. There's not.
Right. There's literally not much of anywhere to get, just like a little place to catch your breath.
Wow.
And after 50 loops, the downs are hurting way worse than the ups because they're so steep. I mean, at points you're at a 40%. I was showing a 46% grade on some of it.
God, so you had done, because I know we had talked before, like in training for like Hellbender and Quest, you had done a couple like 50K plus efforts out on it, right?
Yes. I had done a couple of 50K efforts on it, and then I did one time I went and did 40 loops on it.
And that just
but that was the most I had done, 40.
Yeah. And you were like, I'm like done on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Man,
I knew this one was going to hurt bad.
I love it. So let's go back for a second. I want to, because we've talked about it a couple of times, and then I want to come back to talking more about the Froggy Mountain 100 and everybody who's running it. But so I thought it was crazy just when you did the Hellbender 100 miler, and then the next weekend you did Quest for the Crest 50K, and then the 10K on Sunday.
Yes.
Dude, tell me about that. Like, how do you, I don't understand how after a crazy hard 100 miler like Hellbender, how you turn around in the next weekend.
Yeah. And I did it earlier in the year somewhat with Georgia Death Race because I ran the Georgia Death Race and then came back, and the following Saturday went and ran the Triple Crown. Virginia Triple Crown. So that's like 35 miles with 9,000 feet. And I didn't try to kill myself, but I just wanted to see if I could do it. Could I do big back-to-backs? And I actually felt pretty good that time. And then going towards Hellbender and Quest, of course, I already had that planned well before Georgia Death Race. It really just goes back 5 years. Quest was my first big mountain race, and I really fell in love with it. And I made it a goal to continue doing it. It's the one I wanted to do every year, and I wanted to get better at it. I was like, I think the first year I was like 11 and a half hours in 50th place or something. And I was like, I want to change that. And the next year I was 5th, and then I took top 10 a couple more years. And so I thought for my 5th year, I want to do something a little more epic. I was like, so what would be better than running Hellbender the weekend before on the same mountain range and then coming back and doing it and finishing up with Quest at the end of May, and then taking a break, and yeah, it turned out it was awesome. I mean, honestly, Hellbender beat me up. Hellbender was hard. But then I felt pretty good at Quest, and I stayed top 10 for down to Boland's Creek and coming back up after the turnaround, But the one thing that got me was I was coming back out of there, man. And I mean, I just started feeling so sleepy. And I was like, man, I don't ever feel like this in a 50K. That's 100-mile stuff, And I mean, I was starting to just really die. And I'm like, it was just exhaustion from everything I'd been doing. But the craziest thing was getting up on Sunday morning and feeling good enough to go bomb the 10K. And it was actually fun because I felt strong on that one. And really, I was pretty proud of my time for that race, considering everything we had done leading up to it.
That's awesome, dude. That's crazy. I think my one takeaway about watching you run, which is and compete and stuff like that, which is really, dude, it's so much fun because I get it. Like you'll hear me say negative things from time to time, and I bitch a lot. If I'm feeling like
yeah.
But that's how I kind of get things out, dude. I've never heard you complain once. I've never heard. It's like the way I think that. And maybe I'm wrong, but the way that I think that you look at running and all these crazy events is it's just pure fun. Like it's an extreme sport and you're like, I want more. And I think when I read a lot of what other people, are talking about with running, they're very nervous. Like, am I doing enough miles? Am I doing this? And it's like, it's almost like people are letting that fear of failure or fear of pain or fear of whatever it might be cripple their ability to enjoy as much as they should the races. Whereas you're like, hell yeah, this is going to be a blast. Like I've been training for this. Training's fun, and it's just like,
Yep.
yeah, this is
Yep.
fun. And see, man, I'm the same way, but I love to see that. And I wish more people would be like that, be like Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do it for. We do it for fun. We do it to have a good time. We're adrenaline junkies, and it's our way of getting our fix,
Dude.
I mean, for me, the harder it is, the better. I love to put myself up against a race that I don't know if I can finish or not. That's when, yeah. Most 50Ks and stuff you go into, I ain't talking about everyone, of course, but I'm talking about me personally. I know that even if things go bad, that I can probably gut it out and finish it without having to worry about it. So it's fun when you especially like Froggy Mountain, when you put yourself into a situation where you're like, I have no idea if I've really even got what it takes, but I want to see. That's
There's two types of people who are afraid of the unknown and people who are excited that the unknown will bring some sort of something epic and new and it's exciting, right? Like,
yes.
because it's like unknown could be, yeah, okay, sure, it could be like, hurting, failure, whatever. But at the same time, it's like it could be something really awesome. And typically it is. Like I've never regretted going further or testing myself. I mean, like ever, Yeah. So let's talk back on Froggy Mountain. So you decide to do this with Rosie, and then I've heard it called the Froggy Mountain Invitational Hundreds. You guys did allow and invited some other people to come out. What, like the whole weekend? You gave people 60 hours to do 100 miles with almost 46,000 feet of climbing, 46,000 feet of descent. How many people made it? How did the quote unquote race break down? How did everybody do? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we decided to start 5 a.m. Friday morning. Cutoff was going to be 5 p.m. Sunday evening. It's going to be a 60-hour race. And leading up the week to it, we had different people that were committing to running and then backing out. So it was literally the day of before I knew who was going to actually show up to run the 100. But in the end, we had me, Rosie, my friend named Zach Coggins, my friend named Andrew Harvey, and then a man that had just found out about it like the day before from Rosie that lived in Cleveland, Ohio, a guy named Adam Small, drove 10 hours like literally Thursday and got there like 10:30 Thursday night to run this thing the next day. So there was 5 of us. And we all started at the same time. Adam, from what I understand, he had a bad car accident, or I think actually a car hit him while he was running like 6 months ago.
Oh my God.
So he was in the hospital for like 14 days. I mean, he has trouble running at night because of his vision now and all kinds of stuff. And this man shows up to run this race, which I'm like, dude, you are an inspiration. I mean, you drive 10 hours somewhere you don't even know what you're getting into, with all those problems. So with that being said, we started the race and we went after it, and me and Rosie were battling, and Zach was coming, and Adam, he was back there. But in the end, Rosie, she ended up kicking us all pretty good. She's tough, man. She's used to those races that goes for days with no sleep. I did good for the first day. I think I had everybody down by Rosie, I had her down like 3 or 4 loops, and I had Zach down almost 10 loops or something like that on the first day, and I was feeling good. But man, when I hit my wall and the sleep deprivation started kicking in, I would run until I would start like just running into trees and crashing and stuff like that, and then I'd just get down to the start finish area and lay on the dog bed and take a nap, and they would keep on catching up. So finally on the final day, once Sunday rolled around, we were all like within 2 loops of each other, me and Rosie and Zach.
Wow.
And kind of went on a hard epic battle to the finish, but Rosie pulled out the win and Zach took second and I took third. And then Andrew, he had dropped about, I can't even remember what his actual mileage was. I think he was probably somewhere around halfway, 50 or so. I don't remember. But his knee was giving him a lot of trouble, and he just sort of fell into more of a volunteer role. He's like, I'm done running. I'm just going to stay and help. And man, dude, I can't even say. Andrew Harvey is like one of the best people I know. Like in the pictures and stuff, if you see the start finish arch, that man built that thing and brought it and gave it to us and set it up like at midnight the night before the race. I mean, he's just an incredible dude.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, we were almost down to the cutoff, and Adam was like, I know the cutoff is 5 p.m., but I really want to finish 100 miles. Would you allow me to stay and finish? I said, dude, I don't care what you do. Stay and finish this thing, man. I will stay and cheer you on till you're done. And we did. And he wrapped it up about, I think it was around 4 o'clock Monday afternoon whenever he wrapped up his 100. So there was 4 finishers in my book, and it was a great, great experience.
It's so cool though. Like, so I want to paint a picture of like what Froggy Mountain is like. So Galax, Virginia, people are like, where the heck is Galax? I used to say that my high school sweetheart, I've told you this 100 times, like my high school girlfriend was from Galax. It is the fiddler's capital of the world. It's about an hour, more or less, due east of Grayson Highlands. So you get to run up there. It's in that southern Virginia area, and it's beautiful, man. Like I hate using the word up and coming because that makes it sound like it was like down. It's not. It had like a big, industrial kind of boom in the 80s, and then what were they building? Furniture and stuff. A lot of that dried out. They have the New River Trail. It's a beautiful rails of trails, and then Paul actually is part owner of the New River Trail Outfitters. They rent bikes, they sell gear, stuff like that. And host several running groups out of there as well. They run on the New River Trail. It's really cool. And so Paul's about 5-7 minutes from this historic downtown, which is absolutely beautiful. And so it to me, it is everything positive that I think of when I think about Virginia, Southern Virginia, just like nice rolling hill landscape, beautiful mountains, pastures, rivers. Like the New River is gorgeous. And Paul, like basically out the back of his home, within 10 seconds can be on this trail that he's built. Now, I was very, very fortunate about a month ago. Paul invited me up, Paul and Kevin Sylvie, who resides there now as well. They're cleaning up the property. Like Paul said, there's, whoever formerly owned it kind of, left it somewhat in shambles, with a bunch of junk and stuff and broken down stuff, from generations. And, they've been cleaning up. It looks amazing. I've got this, 1.2 mile loop. And yeah, dude, like within 10 seconds, Paul can be out in his backyard on this loop. So it's like, why go anywhere when you have a loop in your backyard? It's just so cool. And now Paul and Kevin have been working on basically turning it into, and I don't want to take words out of his mouth or explain it for him, but basically are kind of turning it where it's going to be like a glamping kind of thing where you can come out and you can experience, nature, kind of have this little bit of solitude. You have a hiking trail, you have downtown Galax very close, you have supermarkets, all this stuff like that. Pretty much every day I was staying there. I was staying in Kevin's overland pop-up tent on the top of his SUV, and super comfortable. Like I would wake up every morning to like birds and stuff like that. And during the night, the reason he calls it Froggy Mountain is in the ponds, there are these frogs that are just like all night. It's kind of just talking and singing, just beautiful, man. And yeah, so they're welcoming people and runners and dude, it's just a beautiful place. And pretty much every day we were waking up, I would go get fresh mountain spring water. You got a spring right there, like, a fire pit. We're having fires every night. And then every other day we're doing group runs somewhere different. I mean, it's just wild, awesome adventures in Southern Virginia with like good vibes. Like, I just felt like every morning I would wake up, beat on my chest, yell out, hell yeah, and take a cold shower, for my own doings, got hot water, but and then just start the day, dude. It's cool. So what is y'all's vision with Froggy Mountain here?
Well, I believe it's still coming into light, as we speak. But our vision, is absolutely like you're saying. Anything from primitive camping to glamping to we've got an Airstream that we're hoping to finish getting renovated and get that set up by sometime next year. We bought an overlanding trailer we're going to put up there on the little campsite, yeah, and we would like to invite anyone, but runners especially, that want to come and actually experience the trail. I mean, and not just the trail, but like you said, Galax in general. You've got New River Trail here. You've got downtown Galax. You've got Matthews State Forest with a great trail over there. But you've also got the Blue Ridge Parkway right out our back door that's also got the Mountain to Sea Trail running all over it, plus down to Stone Mountain. There's so many trails and good stuff right here in this area that I think Froggy Mountain makes a great jumping off point, where you can come, you can relax, you can do your thing, you can be as free as you want to because it's private property and you don't have to worry about nothing. But then when you're going to go to town, it's 5 minutes away. We got a brewery literally 5 minutes down the road from our house, so it really is a perfect place in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I like, one of my favorite things I really liked when I was up there, I really loved going along the parkway, but I really especially love the new river trail on a bike. Mm-hmm. Running it would be fun. If somebody could drop me off, I could go point to point. Be a good place to train, to get speed and not be on pavement, but just being on a bike. Yeah. Like if people have ever been on any rails to trails, it's kind of like that, but less people and just as beautiful.
Yes.
We even went to that beer festival, which was absolutely incredible. That was, dude, there's so much cool stuff to do up there. And then of course you're like an hour 10 from Grayson Highlands, which, I've got my Grayson Highlands race up there, which you've helped me out so much. We've gone running up there. We've even, last summer, we even helped build a new trail in the park. That was cool,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So now that I'm talking about that, let me go back to, okay. So during the race, Kevin Sylvie, he's the man. He calls you the milkman. Okay. Why does he call you the milkman? Why is that your nickname?
That's the one thing I've found that works in long races, man, that gets me through. Give me my whole milk. Give me ice cold whole milk, and I can turn a race around and come back to life. It's crazy. I mean, I'd already known that, but it really showed his head at Hellbender. I had went and I didn't have crew or anything. I was just going to run it, just, solo and not even do. I had drop bags, but I didn't even lay them out. I forgot about them, so I was going to run this thing totally. But Kevin, he keeps hitting me up. He's like, man, I'm serious. If you need anything, tell me. I will drive. And I'm like, dude, it's like 2 or 3 hours for you to drive out here and meet me in the middle of the night. And he's like, I do not care. I said, all right, bring me 2 pints of whole milk and a couple Chick-fil-A sandwiches and meet me. And he met me at mile 69, actually, where he met me at the aid station where the Quest finish line is there at the Neal's Heliport.
Yep.
And he met me there. It was like 2 a.m. and we sat there and I dried my feet off and changed clothes and drank my milk and ate my Chick-fil-A. And I literally came back and ran the end of Hellbender way faster than I did the beginning. It was crazy how it actually, but yeah, ever since then, Kevin has definitely called me the milkman. And, it kind of sticks. That's the truth. I mean, like at Froggy Mountain, I had a whole cooler full of whole milk up there I was drinking, and everybody's just like, man, how do you do that? And I'm like, I can't explain it. But there's something about it. Like if I'm nauseous or something, it'll coat my stomach. And plus the protein and stuff in it, it honestly fuels me.
And it's got some sugar and like sodium in it. I mean, it's like milk ain't that bad. Yeah. I wish I wasn't lactose intolerant. I could do that because I used to have milk. I mean, that was a godsend,
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Man, so if somebody, you think if like all of a sudden, like you're only a whole milk guy, like so if somebody gave you like skim milk or 2%, you'd be like, ugh.
It's too watered down, man. It's too watered down. And chocolate milk, I don't know what's up with chocolate milk. It just messes up my stomach. It's like I don't like that chocolate.
It's funny because I used to not like chocolate milk as a kid. Like I hated it. But an ultra runner, I loved that. Like I used to have chocolate milk all the time. Like there was one race I ran. Oh, it was Heiner up in Pennsylvania one year. They had like a local dairy like had their own chocolate milk. Dude, I had probably half a gallon of chocolate milk,
Oh, heck yeah.
After, when
I wish the chocolate wouldn't mess my stomach up because I love chocolate milk.
It's so good, man. Chick-fil-A's and whole milk, dude. That's his.
Yeah, that's what I said. Chick-fil-A and whole milk, man. I don't know what it is about it, but it works.
That's awesome. So what's so next year for this event? Like what's the game plan? Are you guys going bigger, badder? Like should people start sending you messages now to get in for next year?
Yeah, send me a friend request on Facebook or something and let me know you're interested in running it. I'll do my best to make it happen because I've got plans for next year. I think I learned a lot this year on it, and we knew that going in. We had to kind of iron out the kinks. So I thought 60 hours would be a very, well, I ain't going to say very generous time, but I figured it was generous enough. And honestly, 60 hours is a tight cutoff on that race. It's tougher than you realize. So I think next year, what I want to do is I want to expand the cutoff to 84 hours, and I'm going to do it as a Thursday through Sunday race. The goal would be to run 100 miles and get your buckle. Okay. Now, on top of that, I would like to have an overall award for whoever could do like the most miles or the most laps, you might say, in 84 hours. So if someone wanted to go over 100 and push for the 150 or something, that would be amazing. And then I would also like to, I think I would like to add one thing in there for the ones that want to get fast, and that would be 100 loops in less than 60 hours. And you just get something kind of special for that. But yeah, I want to make it bigger, better. And
wow. Jeez, dude, that's crazy. I love it. I love it. The one thing that I'll say again and again is Galax. That, it had never been on my radar until you kind of built this big running and trail running community there as a destination to just honestly go take a vacation. Go stay at Froggy Mountain, go get a hotel there, bring your running shoes, go biking, like go exploring. Like I came there and I was like, I feel so healthy. Like I'm doing 2-a-day workouts every day. I'm doing like man stuff with Paul and Kevin cutting trees. And, it's just like, it was just like a mental vacation and a physical vacation, if you will, as well. So if you're hearing this, go to Galax and do some awesome outdoor stuff. Yeah. Kick your butt.
Yeah, like we have 3 group runs during the middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, group runs. I mean, and good people. I mean, just good people to be around. It's like we go out at 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning because we want to, because it's the greatest way to start your week, start your day. It's just, and the people are so happy, and it's so uplifting. And you get done running your 7 miles on Tuesday morning, and, it ain't even 6, it's right at 6 o'clock. It's like you're ready to just conquer the day. It's good stuff happening around here. There's a lot of good, man.
Heck yeah. So I think this would help a lot of people. 2 things I want to talk about. Second thing I'll talk about after this, which is polls, just so I don't forget, because you use polls, which you hadn't done before during a race, I believe. The first thing I want to ask was, okay, so on a short loop course, even though time-wise it may not be short, I hope this helps people that are running or training to run loop races for time or distance or whatever it might be. What are you carrying with you? How often, like time-wise, are you stopping at the aid station? Are you, every time you come through, are you stopping? Like, what was your game plan? I assume as the race progressed, you were going slower. You probably stopped more often. And yeah.
So I didn't carry anything. I figured, 1 mile, I don't need nothing. Go as light as I can. For the most part, Kevin would have me a drink of something waiting every time. And I'd normally tell him ahead what I'd want. Like next time I'll have a little shot of milk. Next time I want just a Gatorade or a little shot of water or something of that nature. And I actually just used a glass pint, one of your race pint glasses to drink out of, because it's easier than sucking on a straw or something of that nature. If you've got a pint, you can just turn it up and kill it, So I would normally always have just a sip of something, and then like every 2 or 3 laps, I would try to have a bite of something. But the key is to jump in there and hit it and be gone immediately, because it's so easy when you're on a 1 lap, a one single loop race like that, where you're coming by that aid station every 20 to 30 minutes to stop and spend more time than you should. And you can definitely waste time there if you're not mentally ready to hit it and get right back out. But I felt like it was quicker for me to stop and take a drink versus carrying extra weight and carrying something with me.
Right. I feel all that too. You mentioned earlier how you had to like stop and sleep because you're getting so tired because of sleep deprivation. Were you like hallucinating? And what like what was like the defining moment where you're like, dude, I got to take a nap?
Well, I would try to go until my lap times were awful. Like, a normal lap should take 25 minutes, maybe 30 if you're kind of suffering. You know what I mean? But when I would go out in my laps for 45, 50 minutes, I knew it was time to go to sleep because I was just walking into trees. I was stopping and getting down on the trail for a second, trying to catch, just completely loopy out there, don't know what's going on. And you're not making no time and you're spending all your energy not going anywhere. So I'd be like, okay, as soon as I make it back down to the start finish area, I'm going to lay down and I'm going to try to catch a nap, So that's kind of what I went off. Hallucinations, I've definitely dealt with them, and like Hellbender was by far the worst. I've never hallucinated a race like I did at Hellbender. It was crazy. It was nonstop. But at this one, a couple times, but no, it wasn't bad. I would kind of shut it down and go lay down and take a nap before it hit.
Wow. I see. It's funny.
But now, a nap was literally laying outside on the ground, on a chair or something. I told them from the start, if I go in my house and I lay down on my bed, I qualify. So that was my own personal rule myself. Everybody else gets cots and all this. I'm not going to go in, get in the bed, in my house and get all comfortable and get a night's sleep. No, that's disqualification.
That's rad, dude. I like, my hat's off to you for holding yourself to that. You know what I mean? We were talking about poles, right? So like we had talked about last week before you did this, about using poles, and I kind of showed Kevin how I use poles. Mm-hmm. I guess he kind of, gave you the quick rundown. And what did you think about using them? And would you use them again? And what would you use them for if you did?
Because I had never used poles in a race before. I played around in training a couple times and honestly never liked them. But now what you had showed Kevin about how you use them versus how you don't use them, when he showed me that and I played around the house with them for a minute, like a week before the race, and I'm like, I need to give these a shot. So we went to Grayson Highlands the next day and actually went up to Mount Rogers Summit over Wilburn Ridge and all that kind of stuff, through actually some pretty technical stuff, where you got to kind of watch where you're putting your pole stuff. So I used them like, wow, I like this, So whenever it came to the race, I used them probably a majority. I had laps where I didn't use them. I had laps where I did, but I definitely believe there was a benefit to them, especially when your legs were tired and on you. It was just that little extra 20% boost just to give yourself a break, And I would probably use them again, probably nothing less than a 100-mile race personally, but for 100-milers, that's, got quite a bit of elevation. I can see where they'd definitely come in.
Now, I agree with that completely, man. And I have a video actually I just recorded the other day. I'm going to put out there on like basically how to use poles, like kind of when I recommend using them. I've done everything like using them, like for races in the Alps with big climbs and stuff like that. I tend to not use them on anything that doesn't have major climbs. And when I say I've done everything with them, meaning I've started with them and then gotten rid of them. I've not used them. I've only used them on the second half, and I'm kind of like the jury's out on what's better. Did you start with them? Did you finish with them? Randomly have them?
I probably ran the first 5 or so miles without them. Then I decided to use them for a little while to see how I liked them, and I used them for probably 30, 40 laps there. And then midway through, I ditched them for probably another 20 or so loops, and then I picked them back up towards the end. And I don't think I finished with them. I think I ran the last 3 laps without them. I was trying to run down the fronter, and I couldn't catch them, but I was doing everything in my power to catch them, and they were getting in my way, so I ditched them. But
that's awesome. Yeah, I find like the really key for poles for me is like you hit the nail on the head, is using it as about a 20% assist, like a 20% effort assist. Like I find people are just like throwing them in front of them and then trying to like pull towards it, and you're doing this like full body crunch. You can't really breathe during it. It's just like, it's not good. So it's like using it as a 20% assist. Yeah. I also find that using them kind of on the downhill as well will help, but I also think that doing training, as far as training with poles, I feel like you should be doing like 80% of your training without them to be able to have the strength, and really only having that just to get used to be able to eat with them and kind of get your arms like slightly used to it. But like at the end of the day, it's like you need your legs to be able to do that without them. And this is kind of just giving you that extra like boost. It almost like, I remember the first time I used poles actually was in Virginia, right there by Damascus, was when I was training to break the failed attempt at breaking the AT speed record. And I remember it was day 2, the lady gave me the poles, who was crowing me, and I thought it felt like cheating. It was I was like, this is ridiculously easy. You know, I mean, It's totally different. I'm not saying, oh God, it makes it easy, because it's hard to eat and drink with them in, but man, it's just, it's a weird feeling. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I said when I went to Grayson Highlands and tried them a couple weekends ago. I was like, I'm glad I've never really run with them before. I said, because now, and I'm able to use them, I'm like, dude, this is a serious boost. I said, I'm out here. Kevin was like struggling. I mean, I wasn't like trying to run away from him, but Kevin was having to stay on it to try to keep up with me. And I'm like, dude, I'm not sitting there bragging. I said, but I'm like putting out a 10% effort right now. I said, these things are just like rocket boosters behind me. I'm like,
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Especially when you have your upper body, strength,
right?
Cause you do a lot of sawing and moving stuff, and, you're just constantly, whether you're running or not, like, and then if you have that and you're not scrawny like I am, then it's all, man, this is easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also,
now what I found too was the only time I'd used poles before were just some older, cheaper ones I had. And of course, Kevin had those real nice Leckies that he offered to let me use, which is what I use. And having the glove that attaches so you don't have to grip. I mean,
amen.
Having to exert that grip pressure, and all you're doing is letting your actual hand kind of work. I thought that was a big plus to those, yeah, because you didn't exert no more hold them.
Yeah, and
you can literally leave your hands wide open and drag them behind you if you're just being lazy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite things about those. And I'm not sponsored or anything by Lecky. I just really like the poles, man. Like I don't like putting my hands through those loops. It's pretty genius. It really is invented for ultra running, like races, like long distance, like 100-milers.
Yeah, that's a game changer idea they have there. Yeah,
for sure. So you did all this. You're building up Froggy Mountain. It's already awesome. You're building a running community, which you've already done, and expanding it. You guys have group runs, mornings, evenings. You even have a weekly, was it Wednesday night we did, where it rotates people's property. And you guys, it's almost like a supper club. So like we went and ran in like basically somebody's farm, Rick and Chrissy's farm, and then came back and had a hot tub, had Bloody Marys, bacon, breakfast for dinner. I mean, I was like, what am I even getting? I'm telling you, people listening to this, move to Galax if you're a runner, but only if you're cool. If you're a jerk, don't do that.
We've been doing those Wednesday night runs for 5 years now. And we literally rotate house to house among the people that are the regulars. And dude, it's that way everywhere. Everywhere's got their kind of own unique course and some of the best food, drinks, whatever you want when we're done. And the Wednesday night run club is just like the greatest thing, man. It's like that middle of the week, just sit back and take a breather. It's really awesome.
I love it, dude. So what's next for you, man? Like running, I hope you're taking some downtime. Are you pretty crippled, I would assume?
I haven't ran again yet. I ain't gonna lie. It's sore. Everything's sore. I've took a couple baths in Epsom salt. Yes. Next we have the Grand Further 25K down there. I think that's next month. The only big thing I have left that I've definitely committed to is the Black Mountain Ultra Traverse again down there in October. Yeah. So nothing too big yet. I've kind of thought about running one more 100 this year before it's over. I don't know if I'll do it yet or not. Kind of looked at Grindstone, I don't know. We'll see.
Right on, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. Dude, that Grand Further race, we both ran that. That's pretty That's a fun. That's
a great race.
That's a great race. Technical is. I don't know if there's dirt on that whole thing. I think it's just all rocks.
It is all rock. That's fun. I looked at it as a miniature training run for Quest. It's like, yeah, if you want a 25K, get ready for Quest 50. Go run Grand Further. It's a great training run for that.
I agree with that completely, man. I agree with that. Well, dude, I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate you having me up there at Froggy Mountain. I can't wait to make it back up there. It was life-changing, much-needed mental break after the end of my race directing season. I'm excited that you had this awesome 100-miler you put on. I hope we can get some more people out there next year.
Yes.
I hope I can be out there supporting it in person. I'm not going to do it because that sounds terrible, but I'll come do some.
Dude, I said I had to finish it this year because I just want to RD next year. I'm not interested in it again.
That's right. That's right. I feel that. Well,
dude, you're always welcome here. You know it. We'd love to have you again anytime.
Dude, I'll be back soon. I'm sure like September. And yeah, man. Dude, thanks for everything. And keep kicking ass, dude. And keep smiling and keep building Froggy Mountain. I want to see Froggy Mountain in some like upbeat magazine or something on the with Paul, like with a shovel or a bobcat.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, for everybody listening, it was super awesome because when I was up there, Paul let me like play with all the heavy machinery. Never run a bobcat before. He let me drive that around.
And you never know what you get to do on Froggy Mountain.
That's right. And I dropped a bunch of trees up there. That was really cool. Oh
yeah, dude, that place looks awesome after you got done helping us, man.
Yeah, dude, that was fun. Power tools and good friends, and cold beers. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well,
come back, bro.
Appreciate it, dude. Well, I'll be back for sure.
Absolutely.